So, here we are now, ready for the probably final installment in this series on tuning. This is now where we're going to go for a little more advanced. We're going to go for the skill where we tune with the pegs in playing position while playing. So, if you've been following this series, you know that we started with the instrument on our knee with the strings facing us and we worked on the pegs. And at first, that was pretty tricky. So getting the pegs to work in playing position, well, that is sort of the final frontier. So you may notice I've switched here. This is my personal viola. You may notice that I actually only have one fine tuner, which is kind of it's one of those weird traditions that kind of stuck at one point in string player history, just to have less stuff on your instrument. It's very clean, and it's sort of like getting rid of your training wheels. Well, personally, I kind of think it's a bit silly. I think it's really handy to have fine tuners. Makes it really easy to just tune in an orchestral setting in a hurry. I am a big fan of fine tuners, so if you have all four, you just enjoy them. But if you only have one, or if you actually need to do some pretty big adjustments with the pegs, that actually is still a skill you need to learn. So we have the same situation as the previous video on intermediate tuning skills, where we're going to tune in fifths. We're going to start with our open A, and then we're going to start adding the next string, tune it, then add the next string, tune it, and add the next string, and tune it. So we're always starting with, the idea is you really want to get that first one right, and then you adjust the others. The only difference is now I don't have my fine tuners to help me. The biggest thing I really need to show you in this video is how to set up your hand, because it takes a certain amount of muscle and coordination. So I've already tuned my A. Happy, happy. Now I need to get my D. Now I already know, because I've tuned for a long time, I know that this is my D peg and it's a viola, so if that confused anyone. So now I'm gonna actually I'm gonna mess it up for you. I'm gonna just turn it down. So what I need to do is I need to give myself some kind of footing, some kind of foothold, while having the fingers I need to turn the peg in position. For this peg, I tend to go something like this. Right, this is my thumb, and my pointer finger's over here, and my next finger is there. So I'm going to be turning that peg with my middle finger and my thumb, and then I've got a brace on that peg. And I might get some more fingers involved if I need some more power. Okay, then if I go to the next one, this is my G. This is, again, for my viola. Now, it might work. Sometimes if you have pegs that really stick well, it might work to just put your whole fist on that peg and turn it. The only thing is I find that that's when you have that problem of the string going back down after you're done. So you've got to find some way to apply the sideways pressure. That's what I'm trying to accomplish with the fingers that are kind of clinging to the scroll. So in this case, it's actually pretty easy. This is the easiest peg, I think. I put my hand, split it around the peg, and then I've still got my thumb and my pointer finger free, and I can get on there really well to get that on the peg. Okay, I do have pegs that stick pretty well. That is a benefit. All right, I'm gonna make my C too high because I want you to hear that. Oh, I may regret this. Okay. Okay, good. Here we go. So for C, again, I can sort of do it without holding on for dear life, but if I need to, another option is you can even get in the peg box with some fingers. So here's my thumb on my C peg. I'm going to turn it with my pointer finger in this case. And then just to get a grip on something, I'm going to pull those other fingers on the peg box. That's another option. Everything's valid. Now, let's say I'm close, but not quite on it yet. Well, that is actually a thing that happens when you're just tuning with pegs, and there are a couple of tricks. I'm just going to show you the one that I tend to think works. If you get just a little bit over the pitch, you can actually stretch the string. And I'm doing that pretty strongly. All right. And that'll actually bring it down a fair bit. There's a little bit of back and forth at that point. You saw I went back to the peg, I went back to stretching the string, went back to the peg. That's okay, that's actually pretty normal. Don't expect yourself to tune in, sort of 10 seconds flat. Most of the time that just isn't realistic. Take your time, tune nicely. You actually will tune much better if you're calm. One more thing, how did I get my pegs to stick so well? What if your pegs slip all the time? Well, there is another trick to that, actually. If you look into the peg box of your instrument really closely, then you may notice that the strings are actually wound so that they're right up against the wall of the peg box. So if I look inside, let's say, let's say kind of here, that is actually a string that is touching the side of the peg box, okay? So if you can see right up against the edge there. That's actually a really helpful thing because as you're winding more and more string up in there, you want it to wedge against the wall. It gives you friction. That little bit of friction will help your peg stay put once you're done tuning. We've gone over how to get your fingers in a position on the scroll, sometimes even on the peg box, but somewhere that you can get purchase on the instrument while you're tuning and still get the peg to go in and grind it into the peg box to make it stick. We also talked a little bit about getting those strings wound right up against the edge. If yours aren't, you can actually untune your instrument, pull out that string, and then guide it by pulling it sideways as you turn up the string again. If you want to reset a string, just call your teacher and we can look at that together. And then we also looked at how, if you get your string really close, but just a little too high, you can wiggle it. You can actually stretch the string quite hard and bring it down just a little bit. It's only about a quarter tone, so don't go crazy high and try that trick. The other thing is, you may have noticed I tended to go under the pitch and then up to get up to the pitch to make the fifth happen. That tends to work a little bit better. All right, so for violins and violas, I can't wait to see you all getting yourselves organized here with your fingers. I wish you luck with that. And hey, well done, because this is pretty advanced. And this is you're now tuning just like the pros do. So congratulations, and see you in orchestra.